I'm David from Larian Studios, producer of Divinity Original Sin. We'll be presenting Original Sin in multiplayer today. Original Sin is a party-based RPG that you can play in single player and in multiplayer. So multiplayer is drop in, drop out multiplayer. So as soon as a friend joins you, he takes over one of the party members. The party can actually grow up to 4 people, so you can hire henchmen in the towns and then you can play with 3 other guys. But the game is about these 2 characters because they're the only ones on the good side that can use source magic. So the orcs that are attacking and the undead that are appearing and other enemies, they're all using source magic, and we're the only 2 ones that have counter spells for it. We'll give you a couple of examples of source magic in a sector. So, Original Sin is actually a prequel of the entire Divinity series. And because it's a Divinity game, that means that you have to be able to interact with everything in the world. So as long as it's not too heavy or not nailed to the ground, you can pick it up, you can throw it around, you can break it, you can do other stuff to it that will come to it. So that's all the things that you can do with most of the items in the world. And you can see this barrel was filled with water, and that created a water puddle because I smashed it. And now one of the examples of source magic is Benoit's unleashing an ice dragon on it, and that turns water into a surface of ice. So source magic is actually magic of the 4 elements, earth, wind, fire and water. And these things work like a rock, paper, scissors of the 4 elements. And it also reacts the way that you think it does. So for instance, if I hit the ice with a fireball, it'll melt and become water again. So these magical spells are also known by the enemy, and we will of course use those surfaces and the spells against the enemy, but they will react to it accordingly. Now these 2 guys here were fighting over whether they're going to go up to the lighthouse or not. Their captain sent them here because they had to investigate the lighthouse, but they're scared to do so. So I interrupted their conversation, and when I talked to them I find out what they had to do, and they actually in this dialogue talk me into doing their job for them, and they say, we'll be at a distance, you'll be safe, we're guarding your rear, and they just go away. And so let's see what's up at the lighthouse. So they were scared, and now that I come here I can see why, because like the atmosphere completely changed. But I don't know what's up with the lighthouse. And in looking around I see this ghost, but he's not attacking, so he's friendly. And I can actually talk to him. And when I talk to him, I find out that he committed suicide, and that's why he's a ghost. And he committed suicide because he felt remorse for killing the woman that he loved. So out of jealousy, he killed a woman and then committed suicide for feeling remorseful. Now, often in the game you will be able to talk to each other, to talk to the other party member about certain topics that you just experienced or heard about. For instance, the topic right now is crimes of passion. So for instance, if you kill someone out of jealousy, you were driven by blind love, does that make you a different type of murderer than anyone who just kills out of rage or to steal something? So we have topics that don't always have a black and white solution or a good and wrong idea. So we can talk together, and we can role play or give our own personal opinion about this. And in the game this defines the relationship between the 2 characters, and that will come into play at the big finale of the game, at the end game. And the idea is also that in the real world, the people that are playing this in co-op are going to start talking about these topics. So not everything is as heavy as crimes of passion. We also have more light-hearted, funny things. I wanted to go back up north, and we're being stopped here by a couple of skeletons and a zombie. And as you can see, combat in original sin is turn-based, and it works with action points, and I just have enough action points to go over to that skeleton and smack him on the face. Now, in combat, you can still interact with the world and use the environment to your advantage. So Benoit just threw an oil barrel right in the middle of things. And now the zombie just created an acid surface here, and anyone who's standing inside it is poisoned. Now normally it would also have poisoned me, but I'm apparently just not standing in the acid thing. So I'm going to move away from it, and I'm going to blow up the oil barrel that's standing there. And as I said in the rock, paper, scissors kind of thing, this is fire trumps acid, so it's going to transform the acid surface into a fire surface. So now I created a lava surface, the zombie is in there, so he's on fire, and he's also taking fire damage all the time. And with the explosion I killed the other two skeletons. I'm going to pick this up. And of course I walk through the lava, so I'm on fire as well, so yes, there is friendly fire, but Benoit can make it rain, and water puts out fire, so if I'm on fire he can make it rain. That makes us wet, but we're not on fire anymore, and also the lava surface is slowly going to go away because it's wet. So we're back at the soldiers, and we can now just ignore them and go to their captain and tell him about the lighthouse, and we get all the rewards. Or we can tell these guys. So every time in a dialogue that you have to make a decision and your partner is close enough, he's actually in on the decision. So no one is the leader of the party and calls all the shots. If you're close enough, you're in on in the dialogue. So here, Benoit said first, I want to tell them, and I can actually disagree and say you'll do no such thing. So if we are in conflict in a dialogue where we have to make a decision, the RPG system in the background rolls some dice and takes into account what stats we have, and then sees who's winning the dialogue. So here Benoit won, so apparently we're going to tell the soldiers what's up with the lighthouse. And they're happy that we found out for them. They didn't lift a finger, but they're running off to go and tell their captain. So, unlike most RPGs, I'm also picking up all kinds of junk. So I'm not only picking up weapons and then trying to use them and pieces of armor, I'm also picking up food. I can actually eat food and it will heal me or temporarily boost a stat. I can use, for instance, this poisonous mushroom on my sword, and that turns it into a poison sword, so that I can poison my enemies with it. Speaking of poison, an apple is detoxifying, so if you combine it with a healing potion, you create a detox potion, so you can use that when you're poisoned. And the little wooden log here, if I use my knife on it, I carve up a wooden figurine out of it. And this is the first step of creating your own voodoo doll. And you can use the voodoo doll in combat against the enemy. So there's dozens of item combinations possible in the game, and some of them you will find out by accident or by experimenting, but for instance creating a voodoo doll is a very intricate piece of work. So people will be talking about it, you can ask someone how does that work, you can find books about it, you can find recipes. So we're making sure that people know what things they can do with all the items that they can find in the world. Speaking of items, every Divinity game always has teleporter pyramids. Teleporter pyramids come in pairs, so if you use one pyramid, it takes you to the location of the other instantly. And that's pretty handy. For instance, you can put one right next to a bed, and if you're in combat and you see, I'm not going to make it, you can teleport over to the bed and have a sleep. So this imp gave me one teleporter pyramid. But he said, I don't know where the other one is, good luck with that. So it could be that if I use this one, I actually end up at the bottom of the ocean or in the belly of a whale or something. But I know our designers and it'll be something stupid again. So I used the teleporter pyramid and I end up in the bathroom of a woman, of course. And she's, of course, taking a bath. So I'm going to choose the normal dialogue option here and apologize. And pick up the teleporter pyramid. She's not going to come out of her bath, so I'm also going to steal her bucket. So normally you can't really steal stuff from people, but she's not going to complain. She's already shouting and yelling anyway. So she's shouting, and the guards come in and say, so the town guards come in and say, what are you doing here? And once in a while in the dialogue, I can intimidate people or I can charm people. And that then checks your strength, and if that's successful, they leave you alone. Now it's not always successful, of course, and guards might actually fine you, give you a warning, put you in jail. So in the meantime, on the left you see Benoit running around freely. The party doesn't have to stay together. They only have to be together when you want to go to another level. But he can now just do whatever he wants. So, but now that we have the teleporter pyramids, he can use the pyramid that he picked up and he teleports right next to me because I'm carrying the other one. As I said, not a lot of stuff in Divinity is junk, so a bucket, I can put it on my head and use it as a helmet, and a broom, I can actually equip it as a weapon and smack people around with it. I'm going to start giving you another example of the teleporting pyramids. So I just asked this shopkeeper to let me into his house so we can talk business. But I'm actually not really interested in the stuff that he has to offer. I'm interested in this thing here. But he immediately says, that item is not for sale, leave that alone. So I throw it back. And now I can, for instance, kill that guy because I really want to have that paper, or I can be more civilized. I'm gonna drop my teleporter pyramid here, go back outside, wait until he leaves the house. Problem is, of course, he locks his doors. And now I use this pyramid to teleport inside the house because I dropped mine there. Now I can pick up the portrait without being shouted at and teleport back outside. So in Divinity you can't just steal stuff, you can't also just barge into people's houses. They will go like, what the fuck are you doing here? That's just how people react normally. I needed this portrait because it's the portrait of an orc and I use it on my figurine. Then the figurine resembles an orc and now I can use the voodoo dust to create a voodoo doll. So before you can create a voodoo doll you need something that it resembles. So now I just have to find an orc in battle that I can use it on. I'm going to start going down to the beach to show you that the things that you do in Divinity, and sometimes even things that you didn't do or didn't see, have an impact. So there is a consequence to the choices that you make, and sometimes it's immediate, like people give you something, or you get experience, or gold, or magic, or an item. And sometimes the consequence takes place 5 minutes after or 5 hours after. You never know, but you do change the world with what you're doing in the world. For instance, these guards are talking to their captain and they're bragging about how they fixed the lighthouse and they battled a dozen of skeletons and this and that. So now we can either tell the captain the truth, or we can also lie and give those guys a morale boost and go like, yeah, they really did a great job. So apparently we're lying about it. So again, it's a decision, so we both have to make a decision. And the consequence here is that the captain promotes those guys one rank up. If we would have told the truth, he would have fired them from the army and they would have to find another job. The problem is they would think that adventuring is a good job and then they would be in our way all the time. Now that they are sergeants, they'll also be in the way because they're really scared shitless of everything and that doesn't really help. Another choice consequence example are these guys. So they captured an orc female and they charmed her using a love potion. Now, one guy says we should still kill her because she's the enemy, and the other guy says, no, well, why would you do that? She's apparently in love with me, I like her. And we can talk to them and decide for them what they should do, because we're the heroes. And we're going to tell them to kill the girl anyway. Sorry, orc. And the guy immediately does that and the girl dies, orc. And now that guy is pissed off. So the consequence here is that one soldier is mad at us. Now if we would have told those guys let her live, the love potion would actually wear out and she would kill both the soldiers. So everything has a consequence. The orcs are raiding this beach all the time, and this guy, he's a small boss actually in the game. He had the idea of using suicide bombers to go up to the town of Sicile and use them on the people. And if you can't do magic, there's not much you can do against these suicide guys, because bow and arrow don't work, and if you want to smack them around, you have to go really close up to them and then you just explode along with them. What he doesn't know is that we can do magic, and we can either use rain, for instance, to put out the fuses of the bombers and then they're harmless, or I can use fire and then you create a chain reaction of explosions, and even the orcs took a lot of damage from that explosion. And the orc boss panics because he hasn't seen us use magic before and he runs away. So at the beginning of the game they don't know, and afterwards they start reacting to it. So this was one example of how to kind of solve this fight. So you can always, it's an RPG, so you can build your character the way you want to. You can, if you are a good warrior, you can try to go up to them and start hacking them. But you are also challenged to think about what can I do in this particular scene. So there's sand around, there's water around, there's bombers around, you have certain skills. So there's different solutions to making this fight a lot easier for you. If you just jump in, you might die a lot. So you have to react to your environment and to what their behavior is and how they react to you. In closing, I'm showing you a video of the editor that we're using to create this game, and we're going to give this video away with the game so that people can make their own adventures and share them with the community. So you start building a world, put items and characters in there and give them dialogues, and then use a scripting language to script the logic behind the entire thing. And that's the way that works. And we hope a large community will arise and start sharing their cool stuff with each other. Do you have any questions?
About the voices again. About the voices again.
Wait. I didn't understand you, not too far.
What about the voices?
The NPCs will talk, so they will have voice. Yeah. The heroes we don't give a voice, because then you don't feel that you're the hero.
It's finished. Can I customize my characters?
Yeah, sure, you can put on different clothes and that'll change your model. Every time you level up, you're free to distribute your stat points and skill points as you want to. So it's also, you don't have a class or anything, and the game doesn't do it for you.
What is the maximum level of one character?
I don't know.
Can I learn all abilities in the game with one character, or?
Well, normally no. So there will be a level cap on it, but we don't know yet because the RPG system that we use, it works with formulas, so we don't put a cap on it. But of course there's limited stuff to do in the game, so there will be a natural cap on the level. But in previous Divinity games, you could, if you were not happy with a skill, you could unlearn it at a price and then learn another one. Yeah. So the idea is that you build your party in such a way that you can cooperate very well together. So if you have a different combination of fighting styles that you complement each other on what skills does the other one have, etc. Going to give this back.
Thank you for the presentation.
My pleasure.